For Pacifica Radio, I'm Scott Baba. Israel carried out a wave of heavy airstrikes across Syria as its troops advanced deeper into the country. This according to a Syrian opposition war monitor yesterday. The Israeli defense minister announced that his forces had destroyed Syria's navy, and Israel acknowledged pushing into a buffer zone inside Syria following the overthrow of President Bashar Assad. But it remained unclear if Israeli soldiers had gone beyond that area, which was established more than 50 years ago. Israel denied that it was advancing on the Syrian capital of Damascus. Charles de Ledesma reports.
Israel said on Tuesday it had bombed more than 350 military sites in Syria during the previous 48-hour period, targeting weapons stockpiles in the country. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the wave of strikes are necessary to keep the weapons from being used against Israel following the Syrian government's stunning collapse. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, the insurgents who overthrew the Syrian government now say they've wrested control of the eastern city of Deir el-Zur after intense battles with a Kurdish-led US-backed force. People in cars and on the streets wave arms and appear to celebrate. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The Prime Minister of Syria's new transitional government, Mohammed al-Bashir, has called for calm and stability, vowing to guarantee the rights of all communities in the country. He appealed to the millions of Syrians living abroad to return and help rebuild the country. The European Union's Foreign Affairs Chief, Kaja Kallas, has urged against acts of revenge and retaliation in Syria. She said early signs following the ouster of Assad were promising, but added that it's too early to issue a verdict. William Dennislow reports.
Speaking to members of the European Parliament, Kaja Kallas said that the rebel group that led the offensive against Assad should be judged on their deeds, not words. She added that the first signals from Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, were good, but that the EU won't rush to any arrangements. Because of its terrorist designation, the EU is not in direct contact with the group. Kallas has called for minorities to be protected in Syria, adding that the weaponization of religion must be averted. William Denslow, Brussels.
Palestinian medical officials say Israeli strikes on the Gaza Strip have killed at least 29 people. One of the strikes hit a home where displaced people were sheltering in the isolated north, killing 19. That strike occurred in the northern town of Beit Lahia, near the border with Israel, according to the nearby Kamal Adwan hospital, which received the bodies early today. A separate strike outside the hospital killed a woman and her 2 children, and another strike in central Gaza killed at least 7 people. There were no immediate comments from the Israeli military. The man charged with murder in the killing of the CEO of United Healthcare made it clear he wasn't going to make things easy for authorities, shouting at reporters as he was led into court and then objecting to being taken to New York to face trial.
And it's completely out of touch, and it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and its lived experience.
The displays of resistance yesterday weren't expected to significantly delay legal proceedings for Luigi Nicholas Mangione, who was charged in last week's Manhattan killing of Brian Thompson, the leader of the United States' largest medical insurance company. Little new information has come out about a possible motive, though writings found in Mangione's possession expressed anger with what he called parasitic health insurance companies and a disdain for corporate greed and power. He wrote that the U.S. has the most expensive healthcare system in the world and that profits of major corporations continue to rise, while, quote, our life expectancy does not. Democratic lawmakers are calling on outgoing President Joe Biden to use his executive powers to address critical progressive issues before the end of his term and the beginning of the next Trump administration. Edwin J. Vieira has more.
Democrats want outgoing President Joe Biden to commute the sentences of the 40 federal prisoners on death row to life without parole. Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley says state-sanctioned murder is not justice.
The death penalty is a cruel, racist, and fundamentally flawed punishment that has no place in our society.
Pressley says in his campaign, Biden promised to address the federal death penalty. Project 2025, the blueprint for a second Trump term, calls for an increase in federal executions. Another progressive, outgoing Missouri Representative Cori Bush wants Biden to certify the Equal Rights Amendment before his term ends. Bush says enough states approved the ERA to add it to the Constitution, and she says it's needed given limits to abortion access and gender-affirming medical care.
The ERA is one sentence that has the power to protect our future. Equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. That's it.
I'm Edwin J. Vieira for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
I'm Scott Baba for Pacifica Radio.